Hi Tanu. Good.
Hi,
How are you?
Deepika. How are you? I'm doing
Right.
very well,
So
thank
we're
you.
not due to start for another 2 minutes. So why don't we let a few more people join in? And until then,
Absolutely.
we can do some random chit chat. How's your day been?
Busy and good. Good and
Always
busy.
good.
Busy is good. So,
But so many festivities coming
yeah.
up. I can't wait to attend Durga Puja and all that's happening this weekend.
I know. I know. Yeah, I know that this is the first time that my mom's also
Oh,
doing it very religiously. And I'm really looking forward to, like, there's a Panditji sitting at home and we're having the pujas in the day. So everyone's really, like, dived into as a
oh,
collaborated energy. So I'm really looking forward to the Monday Ashtami, which she's going to celebrate. And yeah, let's see. After a long while, because after staying in the US for
yeah,
10 years, I hadn't done
yeah.
this in a while. So I'm
That's what
enjoying.
I
So
thought.
I'm
Like, this is your
enjoying it.
first time back, so like, this is going to be such a fun October for you. So going to be happening, right?
Yeah, right, right. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to celebrating Diwali with family because I
Oh
haven't done
yeah.
that in 10, 12 years.
I
So,
how
yeah. So this
different
is
because I'm
the
sure in the
after.
US
So
it's celebrated in a very different way, and back home it's going to be a lot bigger. So I'm going to talk to you once Diwali is over.
actually, if you ask me honestly, the Diwali festival celebrated in the US
Yeah.
is much more bigger. And we have, yeah. And we have so many events that happen around
Hmm.
Diwali in the US to celebrate that there is proper nights, proper Bollywood nights, and there are Bollywood celebrities who are there, and they stay there for entire time, like 2, 3 weeks. So every day we get to know, oh, this is an event happening for Diwali, this is an event happening for another thing. So it's much more larger in scale, and the parties are actually celebrated with much more enthusiasm as here, because here we take people for granted. We know we're going to meet them
That's
next
true.
weekend also. Whereas, yeah, there we are constantly working towards feeling like a
Hmm.
family in friendship. So we put in a lot more
That's
effort
true.
into our friends and to these special occasions
Yeah,
which we
that's very
celebrate
true. In
together.
fact, I remember playing Dandiya a lot more when I was staying outside of India, and ever since I've been like
Yes,
gone twice.
I agree.
But
I agree fully. So yeah, it's really
yeah,
fun. It's big fun. But family is family, to celebrate with your parents and family is family. So I'm really looking forward to doing, all the religious activities and playing cards and, having parties at home and going for different parties here in India. So yeah,
but
I'm really
on
looking
that
forward
note,
for that.
let me welcome you for your audition.
Great.
Hi, everyone who's watching us. Thank you all for being here. We have Tanu with us, and she's a counselor for marriage and family on the There For You platform. So, what we're doing with these conversations are it's a limited series in collaboration with There For You and You're Not Alone Conversations. And this is your chance to, of course, meet the amazing experts we have on board on There For You, but also to get a different perspective from professionals in the mental health and wellness field. So, because we've been talking about family and we've been talking about festivals coming up, I think this is a perfect time to be doing this conversation with you, Tanu. So, thank you so much for being here and welcome to You're Not Alone Conversations.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, firstly. Thank you for being on getting me onto your board. It's really exciting to, be with more people on the from the same line with your experience. It's
I
lots
second
of
that. And
gratitude.
honestly, like having, with everyone understanding wellness, especially after the whole Corona deal, I think it's great to have a platform and to
Yes.
be able to collaborate with amazing people like you, who at the end of the day will only help people.
Mm,
But tell me something. So we're talking about family, we're
right.
talking about marriages. How has your personal journey been? Like, have you been a very family-oriented person? What led you to sort of become a counselor in the field?
I think each one of us is a family oriented person. none of us can survive independently alone for a long time. So family is where we ground ourselves, where we have the warmth, the growth, the expansion. It's just a little unfortunate for, or I would say, there's some families where you lose family members. And during Corona, I was getting calls, and so during Corona,
Hmm.
I was in the United States. So I was getting calls right, left, and center from people who lost their family members, like parents and children and whatnot. And it was
Hmm.
very challenging to soothe them over a phone call. You know, when you can't see them in person, when the energy exchange is not in person, but again, distant, just words they have to resonate with. So, being very challenging for a lot of people, but again, family is very, very important. And when I was growing up, and I clearly, distinctively remember,
Hmm.
I was 7 years old and I was playing in the terrace. And I don't know what happened to me when I was coming down from the staircase and I saw my parents sitting. My dad just parked his car in the garage. I
Hmm.
still clearly remember everything. And I saw my mother talking to my grandmother, and then my dad came in, and the whole dynamic shifts, how your
Hmm.
conversation is happening is shifting, the words, the vocabulary,
Hmm.
emotions, and non-verbal cues. So that image just got stored in my head forever. And I went back to the terrace and I was investigating on it, and I saw, what if my grandmother changed this in her? What if my grandmother was doing this? What if my mother was doing this? What if my father was doing this? The
Hmm.
whole dynamics would be much more happier. So ever since that, the whole holistic approach somehow got imbibed in
Right.
me very subconsciously. And when I got an opportunity to study psychology in my school, I finished up the entire syllabus in 2 months. So in my summer break, I was like, I was in
Hmm.
class 11th when I got my books. Rather, I was in class 10th and I borrowed books of class
Hmm.
11 psychology from a friend of mine, and I read through everything and I said, can you get me class 12th as well? Because I'm done. So that's how I made up my mind that I want to go into psychology as a profession, as a career. And I experimented actually, Gitika, with a few more lines like
Hmm.
education, as you can say. And I did an internship with a psychiatrist as well. So I worked in the clinical field. And ultimately, I think my draw towards family and marriage was much, much stronger. So there I got hooked on it
So
and it got
I
hooked on
remember
me.
you
So it
telling
worked.
me that when you took up psychology, at that time it wasn't really a popular field to be getting in. Like this is in the
No,
2000s, so at
no.
that time people were still in engineer or doctor
Yes.
thing, or maybe business.
Doctors,
Exactly.
chartered accountants,
So how did it react to
MBAs.
you going into
So
psychology?
I was interning with one of the very
Hmm.
famous psychologists in Delhi, and so I used to go there, and I would see her having an expertise of 45 years with her, and she giving counseling to people who were coming in. So I was
Hmm.
just shadowing her at that moment, and people were very hesitant to pay her the X amount that she was charging, which was very, very small as compared to what the
Right.
psychologists are charging now. And people were like not ready to go to her to pay her or to
Right.
even do what she's saying. They would question her. They'd say, we go to our friend, we'll go to our parents, we'll go anywhere to get counseled. I'm like, no, no, no. So the acceptance level at all levels, whether it was mental, whether it was financial, whether
Hmm.
it was social or family, everywhere there were a lot of blocks. I think Corona did good in this way, that people have opened up and understood that their mental health is equally as
Yeah.
important as their physical health is. And they are now, I see people just knocking doors. I get calls and queries every now and then about, can you talk to my child? Can you talk to my
Hmm.
mother? Can you talk to my grandmother? Because she's staying away from us and she's old, and she
Hmm.
needs help. Can you just talk to her? So now things are very different as compared to when it was when I graduated and I was doing internship and I had the aim and ambition to
Yeah.
open up my own clinic back then. I was like, nah, Tanu, this is not happening as of now. It's a big struggle. And with
Hmm.
also because internet wasn't as what it is right now, so we were very limited in our approach and reach, which is
That's true.
expanded to worldwide now. So we're all global
That's true.
citizens more than just Indians.
That's
So
true.
that's helped a
So tell
lot.
me something, and this is a question I'm sure most people have. Especially related to family and marriage, when there are problems, they're sometimes really taxing on you. Like, if, as a person, some of the stories,
Oh,
like it really
yes.
scares me, right? It makes me question a lot of things, and it's not, uh, you know, easy to always be able to be there for people. So, what kind of like helps you get through that? Like, I'm sure it's taxing for you as well. So, what do you do to sort of, not let that personally affect you?
I'll be very honest to you, Gitika. I think I've gotten this question much often than I expected. But counseling as a field has never taxed me for even a minute. And for even through Corona, I wanted to feel like, is there something that taxing me? I wanted to know myself, but no, nothing did. Apparently, there's some stories which take you like, you think about it much more than the other because you see a lot of violence, a lot of abuse, a lot of
Yeah,
all kinds of trauma, and not just one individual in the family, but a family as a
yeah,
setting, as a group is going through. And there is constant fights and constant violence and abuse in the family when I'm dealing with. So I do think of for them and
mm,
with them a lot
mm,
more than the others, but not really. It hasn't taken over me in a way that I'm taxed out, I'm burnt out, and I need a break and I can't do counseling the next day. No, no, no. That hasn't happened till now because I think I myself, when I was in the States, there was a beautiful line which a coach of mine, because I'm also an ICF certified coach, and she taught me was to always stay outside of the
mm,
shoes of your client. It's like a client, there was a visual of that,
mm.
a client, and this is you. And the client, you are watching the client, and the client is watching the goal. So you are not reaching the goal. So I'm not getting taxed. I'm just going to flow with where you want to go, and I'm going to guide you through it because I have all the tools available, but I'm
Right.
not going to take over you. So it kind of really helped me in both my fields as I do business coaching and as I do
Mm.
family and marriage therapy. So yeah, it takes me, I'm always outside of the shoes because I'm watching them do their bit and guiding them through. So I'm
And
not
that's
in their
probably why
shoes.
you're a counselor for this, because I know I would never be able to do that. I feel like a bit of a sponge. So if someone's like telling me some really sad story, it actually starts affecting me quite a bit. So it's not that I guide them, but
Quite a bit.
after
Okay.
that guidance, I would probably like take a few days off and just like sit and mull over. So that's why people need to come to you and
I
not
know.
me for any
So, no, no, no. It's just years of experience have gone into that, Gitika. Years of experience. Initially when I got like clients just talking, I would just be visually shadowing my counselor and she's helping the other person. And I'm like, I don't know how she's doing it. Oh my God, this is like, oh my God. So I was constantly like checked out because I was so empathetic towards them that I just wish like to hug them or to wipe their tears or, just hold their hand and sit by them. And I feel like, oh my God. But then as years pass by, as you understand life and its dynamics much more, and you understand human emotions much more,
Mm.
and you worked on yourself, you become more stabilized. Your reactions, your actions, your thought processes, your balancing of your cognitive and your emotional mind. So you find that right balance over years. And that's why I think people like to go into the experts rather than just going to family or friends or, someone that you know in your relatives and talk your heart out to them because then they just take it in and they're more
That
reactive than
is true.
actually helping you guide.
Thankfully, that mindset is changing where they are going to act. But
Counselors and
sadly,
therapists, yes.
majority still think that, family has, friends has, so why do we need to actually go to someone else? So I'm glad that perspective is changing, and I hope people listening to our conversation also know that they should go to a professional when they're actually in dire crisis, and not even just dire crisis, when they're going through some problems. It's better to turn to an expert versus actually just going to a friend and family who might not be ready to even hear what you are going through. So
Because they're going through their life so much. They also have so much inside of them. They
exactly,
can't
there
tell
was
you
this one
through.
thing I had read somewhere, which I think would resonate really well over here. Is you should always ask the other person if they're okay with you unloading your problems onto them. if they're right, might not. Before
Yes,
actually saying,
always.
listen, before venting, always ask, always check in if the other person can hear it or not. Because otherwise, it's a waste of time, energy, and emotions at the end of the day. So, please, everyone who's listening, always check in
I
with
agree.
your friends and family before you unload all your problems onto them. And of course, there for you and talk to
Yes.
Tanu if you have any problems related to family.
Oh, thank
Um,
you.
but I mean, that's on a
Yes.
professional note. On a personal note, is there something that you do that sort of helps your wellness?
Oh, yes, I do a ton of things that help my wellness, Gitika. Because in your personal front, if you look at, that's the reason why I even chose marriage and family therapy in the first place, because there are some individual goals
Hmm.
and challenges that you're facing. But largely, if you see, we function in a holistic way, we function in a
Hmm.
family, society, groups. So to be integrated, when you're integrating yourself in your family, when you're integrating yourself in your relatives, in the society, in your friend circle, in your offices, there are a lot of challenges, and these are dynamic, they're ever evolving. So constantly you'll have to check in with yourself to see, how am I feeling? What was the trigger? How did I feel then? How can I regulate that? How can I self-soothe that? How can I enhance my communication skills?
Hmm.
How can I resolve this conflict? How can I get what I need without destroying the
Hmm.
another person with my anger? Or, so there are lots of things on daily basis that I do, including meditation and breath work, which helps me. And I think, a biggest thing that helps me is a discipline, is the commitment that I have with myself to lead a healthy and a happy life and to have good relations. That commitment
Hmm.
leads me to motivation automatically, that I need to do this because I want to experience my life more nicely, more better than what I have done right now. So it keeps me going. So yeah, I do a ton of things in terms of, as I just mentioned, those bullet points. I'm always checking in with myself
I think one
and
thing that you
regulating.
mentioned, discipline is something that we don't hear often as a trick to wellness, or something that someone actually regularly imbibes in order to feel better and for their well-being. So that's a very interesting point that you've brought up. Sorry, before I jump into our next segment, which is a rapid fire round, where I'm going to ask you a quick few questions about you, about wellness. Someone actually asked a query about how they can get in touch with you for a session with you. So for them, please log on to www.thereforyou.xyz, and we have sessions available with Tanu. So please feel free to book a session there. In case there's a problem, you can always send us a message in the contact and figure something out. All
Message.
right, so then as we dive
Awesome. Yeah.
into rapid fire, just be sure that you answer everything really fast, right?
All right. I'm on it. Yes, let's do it.
Uh,
Where's my hamper,
Coming to you
Gitika?
soon.
Soon.
The advantage of not being
All
coffee with
right.
Karan, but there are advantages. All right, so quick few questions.
So yes.
So Tanu, starting with your first question, what is your go-to food for comfort or go-to comfort food?
Oh, tea and
Really? Oh my
marigold biscuits. Really, really,
All
I mean
right.
it, yes.
So the fact that you said marigold biscuits specifically is really cool. I thought I was the only one who
Yeah.
really liked that combination. People are like, I'm
No,
like, no, it has to
me.
be marigold.
It has to be because I like the way it dissolves in the tea first and the way it's softer on the outside and it's a little crisper on the inside still. So
Exactly
I
what you
love
mean.
it.
All right. So what's your go-to happy music or happy song?
Oh, happy music. So I have this, it's
Mm-hmm.
ever evolving, it's ever changing. So these days I am listening to, it's called XXX for You. And it has been a constant for me for the last 10, 12 years. So yeah, it's on my list every now
I
and
don't
then.
know
Yeah,
this
I remember
song.
that. Yeah.
Um, please do,
Yeah,
please
I'll
do.
forward it to you.
What's your go-to movie to feel better about?
Move. I don't really have a go-to movie because I see it once and I'm done. There isn't a go-to movie. I'm so sorry. I don't have a go-to movie at all. I am not a movie person. I am more like a suspense thriller person where I watch these series on Netflix for the last X amount of years that we've been glued to our Netflix binge watching. So
What are
it's
you
always
watching
thriller
currently?
and suspense. Nothing. I've been working for the last 1 month. It's like crazy. I'm working 14 hours. So I've not gotten a chance. If you ask me that right now, I
That-
am blank.
That's
I
fair.
don't know
That's
which
fair.
one to watch.
All right. If you had to pick, would you pick being by the sea or in the mountain? Yeah? Or
Mountains.
mountain?
Mountains. 100%.
So, or city?
What is the third option?
Mountain, sea, or
Say that
city?
again.
Mountains any day,
Thank you.
yeah?
Mountains.
All right.
Mountains.
And last but not the
Absolutely.
least, what's your go-to mantra in life? Or currently, what's your
It's it's all okay. Keep going
is
on. It's all
is it
okay.
like the
Keep going on.
all is
Keep
well?
just keep going on. All is well. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's no, I didn't pick it up from there. I think from the very beginning of my life, when even, I had that stage fright and my teachers pushed me on the stage and made me do things. And, they pick you up in the classroom as well, right? To answer a question or something. So somehow in the back of my mind, it was always going on for my child. It's all okay. Just keep going on. Just keep going on.
Interesting.
So,
And if
yeah.
there was one thing that before we end our conversation, if there's one advice that you can give everyone to follow about a happy family or a happy married life, of course, there's no trick behind it. And I know there are going to be problems. But if there's one thing that you would want people to know and to believe in for their marriages, for their family, what would that be?
Firstly, no matter which relationship you go into, the first and the foremost relationship is that you have to yourself. So your first ever responsibility is to be true to yourself. Know yourself and be true, and then take that to anywhere and
I think
everywhere
that's
you're
one
going.
of the nicest things. On that note, I am going to end this conversation. Are you open for questions from people? All right. So if anyone has
Absolutely,
a
I am.
question, please do write into the comment section. We'll give it a minute or two as you do so. Please remember that if you want to book a session with Tanu, please log into www.thereforyou.xyz, and we have sessions available with Tanu throughout the week. In case you can't find time or a day that is more suitable for you, please drop in a message and we'll figure out something for you. All right. So I don't see a question
Yes.
coming in. In case someone does drop us a question, I will forward it across to you and we'll answer it on the side. But Tanu, this has been an absolute pleasure for me. And thank you so much, not just for this conversation, but also for being part of There For You. Oh, wait, there is someone who's written a question. So they want to know, what is the secret to your confidence? I see you as a very calm and confident person. So
Yeah, that's a great observation because I've gotten that a lot of times where, so yeah, I think I worked on myself
hmm,
to accept myself and to not be worried about how I will be validated externally. So when you work on yourself and you accept the shadow side that this is who I am and currently, and I am still working on to get better. And it doesn't matter whether people accept me or reject me, I am sharing of who I am. There is a certain kind of peace and calmness and confidence that you have in your aura, that you
I
are.
think that's beautifully put. And it's a great secret. I think I'm going to imbibe a little bit of it. Not looking for validation is a
I do.
huge thing. And I think most of us keep seeking that in some way or the other. So,
Yeah, because if you look at it, people are very afraid of rejection. and they're afraid of rejection, and most importantly when they're sitting between families or between relatives, between friends and schools and offices. And just for that particular reason, that they don't know how to accept a rejection, how to have a communication, is they're constantly people pleasing. And when you're people pleasing, you're always in the other person's shoes and not in your shoes. So you don't know what are your thoughts, you don't know what you feel, you don't know what you want, you don't know if you should be staying there or going out. You completely check out from yourself. So where would the confidence come from if you don't know who you are? So to be confident, you need to know who you are, which means constantly stay in your body, in your thoughts, in your emotions, and not to worry about what the others are going to perceive of you.
And on that note, here's hoping everyone perceived us and this conversation well. But I agree. Everything you were saying. Thank you again so much, Tanu.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Gitika, for doing this live. Yeah, for reaching out to people. Yes, it is my first Insta live. If people out there are gonna laugh at me, but yeah, for my Insta live, yes, I've done many live shows earlier, but not particularly the Insta live. So I was really excited today. I was texting you. Do I have everything that I need?
I think this is a fab first Insta live, and I hope we get to do more as time goes on.
Thank you.
And thank you everyone for joining us for a You're Not Alone conversation in collaboration with thereforyou. If you have any questions or queries, please do DM us at any given point of time. Again, if you want to take a session, please log into www.thereforyou.xyz. And we're there for you, and you're not alone. Take care, everyone. You're not alone.
And you're not alone. Thank you, Gitika. Take care. Thank you guys for joining us.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Bye.